Welcome everybody to the new season of the J2 Hub podcast. Now, it's something that's been a long time coming back. Now, season one was a great success in the UK where we focused on UK property-based articles, news going on, talking to developers and talking to people that are in the UK property scene. Now, season two is something that I've been wanting to bring back for a long, long time. And do you know what? I wanted to flip things up. I wanted to change it a little bit more and I wanted to make it more video-based. So we took our time in bringing season two back, but I know a lot of you have been asking and saying, hey, James, Uncle James, what's going on? I want season two. I'm missing the podcast. What's going on? When is it coming back? Now, there's been some leakers on the social media that it was going to come back last year, but just didn't get a chance to do it. So this year, I'm very, very pleased to say that the J2 Hub podcast is back with season two, and there's a bit of a flip to it. So most of you probably already know that I do not live in the UK anymore. I'm now full-time in Dubai, and we're going to talk more about me being in Dubai shortly. But I wanted to kickstart the first episode with a very, very good friend of mine from the UK. We've been meaning to do a podcast for almost a year, maybe 2 years, but never, ever found time to sit down and record the podcast. What we do find time to do is sit down and have a beer, but we've never found time to sit down and do a podcast. So look, in this episode today, we're going to cover a number of topics. We were hoping for it to be a lot longer, but obviously this time round, it's going to be a bit shorter, but there's so many things that we're going to cover. But look, let me first of all hand you over to my good friend Rishi from the UK to introduce himself. Welcome, Rishi, to the J2 Hub podcast and being on the first episode of season two.
Well, mate, thanks a lot. It was a long time coming, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
So we've been meaning to do this for probably about 2 years now, haven't we? And one pub or the other tends to just sort of keep getting in the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know me, I had my own wine spirits business for 12 years.
Yep.
In the UK, in sunny old East London.
Which we enjoyed many a night,
yeah,
and many a day, actually.
Very, very specialist in terms of our inventory and stock, as you know, James. Transitioned out of that after 12 years in the game in June, or was it May, I believe, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, after that, we actually had a development clause in our lease. So it was kind of like, make us an offer and you can kind of choose to go, or you can sort of choose to sort of fight it or accept the new deal. I'd had enough in the business, so I kind of accepted what they offered me. Took about 6 months out. And then obviously me and you had a chat, didn't we? We had quite a few chats across quite a few conversations and into what we could potentially do. Now, obviously, we're already involved with property and other bits and bobs. But in terms of full-time going forward, it had to be sales-orientated when it comes to me, which I'm sure even you was pushing me towards that.
Yeah.
So went into financial services, doing mortgages, specialist lending, life insurance, a lot of equity release, and yeah, it's going well. Like, if that's in a nutshell my life of the last 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's going well. Here we are in Dubai, mate, finally doing this.
Well, listen, thanks for sharing that. We'll touch on some of those topics you talked about there. But look, one of the things I want to start with straight away is the state of the UK market at the moment and what's going on in the UK right now. A lot of people, I feel, are scared. I speak to many UK property professionals that I know through the social scenes that are saying they're not investing, they're not doing anything, they're worried about interest rates, this hike, that hike, and all of that. So I thought, let's start the podcast by seeing what's going on in the UK and why are people scared of investing right now, and if they are still investing, what kind of things are they investing in?
Well, if you talk about people being scared, obviously there's two types of people. There's your common residential customer who are just looking for either onwards purchases, moving to a new home, or first-time buyers. And then you're looking at people like yourselves who are investors, property developers in the game for a while. And there's two types of kind of, in terms of fear, as you would say. So obviously one, being a residential purchaser, you've got the fear of, can you make your mortgage payments? Rates have increased to, in some cases, depending on how bad or good your credit is. I've seen 7%, wow. 6.5% if you're looking at really bad credit. But let's just say, as an example, if you say 4.5% on 5-year fixes, 2-year fixes, and on 5-year fixes, it's not even that much different, really. You can see people that have had product transfers from being on 1.5% what they were for 5 years. And obviously at that time, maxing out their borrowing, mortgage payments being, say, £1,800 a month. And now moving on to a 4.5% fixed product, you can understand mortgage payments go to close to £3,000 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, people, even people on really good salaries, combined income of, touching six figures, you've got to really look at things and draw things back. Because that's an extra £1,100 of disposable income gone. And that's a fixed cost, your most important fixed cost you have. That's obviously the residential. Now, if we go to the investment side, obviously you can understand where interest-only mortgages, at 3%, and you're making, say, 10% yield, and then all of a sudden, the rates are 6.5%, and you literally your income is dropping by 20-30%. That's having an effect on the bottom line.
Absolutely.
So that's a fear of, obviously, the bottom line almost, but different types of fear. I think everyone's in the same boat, which kind of doesn't make it better, but, I suppose, look, it can only, I don't think we're going to see the days of 1.5%, even 2% anymore. I think those days are gone. So I think people should really think, 4.5 is where we are for the foreseeable future.
Sure.
Especially with residential.
When I think back to when I started investing in property, rates were close to 6%. I've seen 5.5, I've seen a tad over 6 as well when I started. I'm probably giving away my age by saying that, but you know what I say? Anybody can be a property developer, professional, this guru when rates are 1.2, 1.5%, 2%, 2.5%. When rates are low, everybody's got a buffer to play with. You can do whatever you like and you're still going to make money. You could even go into property by mistake and you're still going to make money.
100%,
I think this has really shaken things up for people. And I've seen it firsthand on social media where people are like, oh my God, I've not seen this before. I can't make the figures work. You should never have to make the figures work. The figures should work before you go into a deal. And, prime example through the property network in the UK is you can tell when things are up shit creek because people tend to move from being in property deals to concentrating on mentoring, paid property courses and stuff like that because they've got no physical income coming in from property anymore.
So you've just hit the nail on the head. So you see so many people now in the UK who are so-called developers now not doing any more deals. Not doing any more deals. Number one, the private financing is drying up. Yeah. People are being more conservative, right? Yeah. Number two, people who are so-called investors, a lot of them aren't really cash rich. And we didn't even touch on stress testing, which is really, really tight.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
For the listeners, give them a quick little recap on what stress testing is.
So stress testing is when the lender or whichever bank you use basically calculate using certain formulas. Now it's different. It varies slightly from bank to bank, right? Yeah, and it's slightly even more trickier sometimes with specialist lenders. But again, depending on your personal circumstance, you might only have the option of going to a specialist lender. They take a general a percentage of what they think a rental calculation should be in terms of rent received. So, for example, if your mortgage is £1,000, they might want to see £1,450 rent coming in.
Sure.
Right, yeah. But what they do then is they always sometimes apply another 2% buffer onto that.
Right.
Just in case. So stress testing is through the roof. They want to see personal incomes as well. They just don't want to see people just sitting there and calculating rental income as income. Some lenders are very, very strict on that. With a lot of HNWI, so high net worth individuals, there is something called top slicing, where you can take an individual's personal income if it's like above a certain limit into even if the stress testing is basically missing. If it's slightly off, they can top slice, what we call top slicing, and use that personal to plug the gap. But obviously, not everyone's earning the 80, 90, 100 plus 6 figures plus salaries. So in the UK at the moment, I mean, if we're just sticking with the UK market, people are still buying houses.
Sure.
I mean, I'm closing left, right, and centre. But like I said, rates are high. People's incomes really need to go up. A lot of people think there's a mortgage problem in the UK. A lot of people think there is a problem with the banks, with the government. The main problem people don't really kind of admit is everyone or most people have an income problem. They should be trying to increase their incomes. So their income is X. Yeah. Everything else has increased 20, 30, 40%. Their income's still X.
Yeah.
Why isn't their income increasing? Why isn't everyone being proactive to increase their incomes? So a lot of people would not want to admit that they have an income problem, rather than they just want to blame everything else. The banks are a problem. You know, the lenders, the house prices, especially in London. I mean, you know, they're going through the roof.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. I like that bit on income. Nobody ever really looks at their own income, innit? You're quick to point fingers and blame everything else. So look, I want to talk about the times of, I don't really want to talk about COVID, but I want to talk about my deal that I did during COVID, which, you know, was probably done at the worst time ever. And everybody was like to me, James, what the hell are you doing, man? Interest rates are going up, lenders are pulling out. And, you know, there was times in my deal where I thought, shit, this is not going where it needs to go. But coming back to my point where I said, everybody can be a good property developer when rates are 1, 2, 3%. But when they reach the 5s and the 6s, I think that's when you become a good property developer, because you have stress tested your deal that much that it can work at those percentages. So my typical deal, I'm not going to say what area it was in, but, you know, it was an 8-bed HMO. And, you know, we were on bridging, 100% bridging. And this was to buy the place. And they gave us 100% development finance. So this was full on loan, not a small percentage, but full on loan. And we had issues like, I think at one point when we were looking to refinance off of our bridge, we had 15 lenders that just pulled out, you know, within a week space. And you're thinking, God, how am I actually going to get off of this bridge now? And I think, you know, deals like that could really finish people, you know. If that deal hadn't gone in the way it had, and had I not been experienced enough to kind of look, okay, we're going to look at this avenue, that deal really could have sent me under. So it's kind of, I think those times during COVID, when we had bounce back loans, interest rates increases, I think if anybody made a deal work during those times, I personally feel you can make a deal work anytime.
Do you want to just touch on interest rates for extending your bridge so people know exactly what sort of rates you could possibly be
Yeah,
put on?
so to give you an example, I went so my bridge it expired. And it wasn't my fault. It was the lenders taking a lot longer to say, okay, we're going to give you the refinance to come onto the remortgage. Now, something that should have taken kind of 14 days took 67 days to come back. You know, you don't think in your head that it's going to take 67 days. In my head, you're thinking, damn, my broker's bullshitting me. This person's doing me. And when you're on such a tight deadline, you're thinking, God, I don't know what's going on here. So to give you an example, to extend for 3 months, I was somewhere in the region of £31,000 with my penalty and having to extend. And even with that extension period, I still came very close to having to extend again, you know. But with all of the things that happen on this deal, with the being penalized for going over the bridge, you know, having to pay 3 months extra interest up front, having to pay a higher rate on the remortgage, the deal still worked. You know, going nearly £30,000 over budget because it needed the loft extension had to be taken out and redone. The deal still worked, and it now sits in my portfolio as one of the most profitable properties across the whole portfolio, you know? So I think it's weird right now in the UK, because I think too many people are used to doing their deals around the low interest rates, and they still think this shit's going to work. And I say to people, when they say, James, what are you investing in? Number one, I'm not going to tell you what I'm investing in, because it's taken me a hell of a long time to hatch out my patch on what I do. It's a model that I've built over years. But one thing I do say to everybody is, the old shit, it's not working anymore. You know, it may have been working when the rates were low. It's not working anymore now. So you need to reinvent yourself and come up with something new.
100%. You're talking about cash flow. Your cash flow needs to be 20, 30, 40% month on month now with the rates. I mean, you know, your fixed costs are so much higher now that you're right. The old models that you might have worked 5, 6, 7, even maybe 8 years ago, they're not working anymore. So I think a lot of people need to think out the box. A lot, especially established investors who really don't have any excuse to be making kind of amateur mistakes in deals now. If you've done 5, 6, 7, 10 multiple projects and you're still making these kind of errors, then I think you need to have a serious look at yourself. But I do kind of feel for new investors, first-time buyers, people that want to get onto the property ladder. You know, people that are young, that have aspirations, you know, 18, 20, 21-year-olds. I understand it's tough, but look at it this way. Everyone's in the same boat. It's not just you. It's the whole of the UK. So if you want to say everything's fair, it is. because no one in the UK, no other investor, whether he's got a penny more than you or he's got 10 million more than you in the bank, is in any different kind of boat. Everyone's in the same boat. So you've got to kind of ride with it.
Something else I want to touch on now. Look, I think social media is good, and social media is also a curse. And I feel it so much more when I look at new people coming into property, because they're like, oh, this guy's doing this guy's doing this guy's doing that. Now, I think it can be a blessing and a curse, social media. It can work in your favor and it can totally work against you. Before I tell you what my in-depth thoughts are on social media, what do you think about social media, and touch on the whole property side of it?
Well, look, social media is one thing. Look, it's important, very important. All forms of social media. I mean, in terms of costs, because there's no cost literally, everyone should be on social media explaining what services they offer, explaining what they're doing, building their network, their alliances, making connections in the market, whether that be brokers, whether that be people in the specialist lending market, whether that be estate agents, whether that be auction houses. People should still be trying to actively make relationships and new relationships. But look, I mean, I'm not going to mention any names, but me and you, we know who are the biggest people in property that we know. And if you look at their social media, you wouldn't even know it. Yeah. You wouldn't even know that they're in property because they ride solo, they ride silent. And we're talking, portfolios of upwards of £500 million.
Yeah.
So, I mean, social media look, all the youngsters get on social media, but don't look at social media too much. Don't look at other people and believe what they're posting on social media is a true reflection of their investments. Because I can tell you, I'm in the game and it's not.
Yeah.
98, 99% of what you see on social media, no. And there's no point having, I know, look, you've got to use the money. You've got to use, especially not now in terms of the rates have gone up, but when it was in the 1.5, 2%, 2.5% days, money for nothing. Yeah, mortgage yourself up to the hill. Yeah. Nowadays, you've got to have as much skin in the game as possible. Yeah, number one. And if you look at people now, the biggest people we know, do they even use financing? Do they even use financing?
That's a good point.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Obviously, veering away from that, coming back to your original question, look, go with social media. But one thing I would say is don't look at people and think, wow, why is he doing so well and I'm not? Or what is he doing right? Concentrate on yourself. That's all I've got to say. Because everything on social media is just a facade.
Yeah, yeah. Look, places like Instagram, it's a platform that's designed to showcase, so people will always showcase the best. And when I started on social media, people used to say to me, James, why are you showing disasters? Why are you showing people that you've lost £100,000? Why are you showing people that you've been let down by this, this, and this? You should only be showing the good stuff. And I'm like, no, because everybody shows the good stuff. I can tell you, there'll be hundreds of people on social media that will never talk about a bad deal because they don't want to look like a bad developer or a bad investor. So I think social media, I feel it's positive. It's been I'll touch on it later, but it's been positive for me in Dubai because I've earned a lot of money through social media. But that's been through my own efforts. But if you're someone new in property right now, or just new in any business, I would say be aware of what people are doing, but don't ever compare yourself to that person. You need to stay in your own lane and just kind of almost have tunnel vision. See where you are now, see where your goal is, and just go towards that. And everything on either side, don't even think about it. When you're driving down a road, you're looking forward, right? You're not looking backwards. Don't compare yourself to anybody and remain focused on what you're doing, because I can tell you from past experience that a lot of stuff you see online is absolute bullcrap. It's bullshit. Somebody will paint a lovely picture, but behind the scenes, there's other shit going on. And I think the young people right now, it's affecting them mentally in a bad way because they're just like, man, this guy's got a Lambo. Why haven't I got a Lambo? This guy's doing this. This guy's got the latest Rolex. He's got this. He's got that. And I think stuff like that is actually stopping you from going out and doing better as a person and doing better in your business or in your development journey.
Yeah, and also not just like this guy's got the Lambo, this guy's got the Ferrari, this guy's got the G63, etc., etc., etc. But you might have young investors who, let's just say first-time buyers who want to get into property, who want to get into the investment market, who might have been knocked back and let down by let's just say they're brokers or lenders refusing to lend to them for whatever reason, for whatever criteria not being met. And some people take that to heart and think, oh, do you know what? I'm never really going to get into this. We've tried with 3-4 lenders. Everyone's knocking me back. No, there's always options out there. Research which broker you work with. Okay, you need a broker that works with the most amount of lenders and banks. Yeah, preferably someone who's directly authorized. Right, yeah, not working through what they call a network. Right, yeah, so have someone who's directly authorized, and you can ask a broker this. So you can say to a broker, are you directly authorized? Are you part of any network? If you're directly authorized, more often than not, you'll have more lenders that will be open to lending to you. So just look. I mean, if you do get people calling your broker, calling you and saying, "Look, sorry, mate, it didn't work this time for XYZ reason," don't take it to heart. Tell him, "Okay, move on. Can we move to the next product, please?"
Yeah, yeah.
Ask questions.
And you know what? What I've realized with my experience on brokers over the years is, it comes down to how a broker presents a case to a bank. You know, you'll get brokers that are just inputting numbers and just, oh, sorry, the computer says no. But then you've got brokers that will actually sit down there, look at your deal and look at how it stacks up and says, okay, I'm going to present this to my BDM in a different way than just filling in an online form and giving my client a complete rejection. So, you know, we always say a broker is number one in your power team because he's going to try and help you get the money. And then second to that, I feel it's your solicitor because he's going to make sure you're fully legal. But as Rishi was just saying, if you're not happy with your broker, you know, if you're not happy with the answer you're getting, move on. You know, ask another broker. You know, go to another broker. I feel some of the best brokers I know out there are not even on social media because they don't need to be, because they have so much business and they're so specialist in what they do that they don't need to be flaunting this crap.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And what you've got to understand is a broker will have, let's just say a broker might have 50 different options for you in terms of products. Okay, so let's just say you require X, Y, Z. He might have 50 different options which he could apply to for you, right? Yeah. Now, obviously, generally, depending on the case, you go to the cheapest product. Yeah. If it's a high street, even better. Bosh, you apply. But now, if you look at the product, there's going to be very, very different sets of variables. Whether it's cashback on the offer, on the deal, whether there's shitloads amount of fees to pay at the start. Yeah. And sometimes if you go with specialist lending, the fees are astronomical because it's a percentage of the loan, not just a fixed rate. So have a look at the products. Ask your broker, what's the difference between this product and that product? And also, you touched on solicitors. Now, you can use, if the broker's truthful with you, if there is a mortgage offer with a cashback option, and sometimes that cashback option might only be £250, you can use that £250 towards a free solicitor. It's called a cashback solicitor, right? Yeah. And the broker should arrange that for you. We do that all the time. I do that all the time. So every single time there's a cashback option on a mortgage offer, I say, by the way, I can offer you a cashback solicitor, which will cost you nothing. And normally, I mean, how much is how much is a general legals? How much do they cost? Anywhere between £700-800 to £2,000, depending on the deal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's something which young people, especially that don't really know how mortgages and how everything works, should be asking. You know, look at the products properly. Just because there's one product, don't just look at the mortgage amount every month. Maybe calculate, you know, what's the total amount you're paying over the fixed period. So whether that's a 2-year fix or a 5-year fix.
Yeah.
You know, look at tracker mortgages. Now is the time to actually look at tracker mortgages. People think mortgage rates are really high right now. Look at tracker mortgages. Look at variable rate mortgages. There's so many options. You need the right broker. Ask the broker questions. You know, maybe ask the broker, can we meet up for a cup of coffee? If he's a good broker, he'd make time for you.
Yeah.
He'd make time for you, and he should be making time for you because he's acting on your behalf. And at the end of the day, a broker only makes money if he secures an offer for you.
Yeah.
Just remember that.
And you know what? Just to kind of wrap it up on that scene there, just with the UK bit, I think a good broker looks at every case for you, even if it's a small deal, a big deal, a large deal, and an even larger deal. What frustrates me is when a broker will say, okay, you know what? I only work in a certain segment. That basically means that he's happy to go somewhere where he's making a shit ton of money. But if it's a small little deal, he doesn't want to do it. And that really, really frustrates me, you know? I've seen this time and time again where they just want to work in a certain bracket, you know? And that just doesn't work for me.
100%. I mean, I've done £1 million loans earning £3,000 proc fees, for example. And I've also done loans for 120 grand earning £750 proc fees, £600 proc fees. So, but the work is so much more sometimes on the smaller loans.
Yeah.
Because they might have bad credit, they might have missed payments, their credit reports might not be that great. Whereas the big loans, you just might be able to push them through. Literally, you know, you check all his, you do your due diligence, check everything checks out, just apply. And you can have an offer for him in a day, 2 days.
Sure.
And then there's the ones that you don't earn anything on, but those are the ones who who basically we can build those relationships, and they're gonna have that conversation with their friends. That man, I was look at my situation, you know, bad credit, adverse this, adverse that, and this guy pulled through.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he did what he could, and I know how much he earned because it's disclosed in the offer to every customer. He didn't earn much at all, and he didn't charge me. For example, if you're not charging a fee, some brokers will charge you a fee, some brokers won't charge you a fee, depending.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. So look, to wrap this segment up, do you think there's still deals to be done in the UK?
100%. 100%. It's not slowed down at all. Like I said, lending, just because rates are high, lending hasn't stopped. It's still there. And and don't forget, it's good for the banks. Banks want to lend money. Especially the high rates, they want to lend money. So don't be scared, people. You know, still do your deal sourcing, speak to sources, do your due diligence properly, check your market, know your market. And yeah, I would say 100%.
Good points. Okay, moving on, guys, moving on. So I mentioned early on that I no longer live in the UK and I'm full-time in Dubai now. So look, we're going to touch on why Dubai, because I get a lot of people DMing me saying, James, what happened, man? You just got up overnight and you just left. You didn't tell anybody. And, you know, this goes back to remaining in your lane. Not many people need to know what's going on in your life. You know, me and my family came out for a holiday in April in 2022. And by August 2022, we were in Dubai full time. That means we've packed up our whole home. We've rented our residential property out. We've got our portfolio being looked after by a management agent in the UK, and we're here in Dubai. Now, what is the reason? Why am I in Dubai? You know, and I'm getting asked that time and time again. So look, I think one of the main reasons for me was I was getting a little bit comfortable in the UK. You know, I was too comfortable in doing what I was doing because I was able to do it so well. And it just became, okay, we'll get another property, we turn it into this, we earn X amount more money, we add on to the portfolio. It wasn't really testing me anymore. So I thought, you know what? I need to get uncomfortable. I need to put myself in a situation where I'm putting myself in a whole new country, whole new laws, everything I need to learn again. And, you know, I will grow. Because if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. You know, you're just sitting in the same place doing the same shit day in, day out. So I decided one of the main reasons to come to Dubai was that. Secondly, we've spoken about this before. The other reason was safety. You know, I became very, very concerned about safety in the sense that, you know, I live in a decent area. It's classed as an affluent area in the UK. And I witnessed someone getting stabbed in their neck, you know, and I'm thinking, God, that's someone's son. You know, I don't know what the background of the stabbing was, but, you know, that could quite easily have been one of my young ones. You know, that could have happened to anybody's kid. And when I saw that, I thought to myself, damn, I need to be out of this place for that. And I think the third thing for me, which really hit home, was some of the things they were bringing into the curriculum and teaching my children. You know, I'm thinking, my 6-year-old, why the hell does my 6-year-old need to know about oral sex? Why does my 6-year-old need to be knowing about he can be a woman, you know, at 6? And I'm thinking, God, at 6 years old, you're damn confused, yeah? As a bloke, you're confused. You know, you've got body parts that you don't know what they do. And at 6 years old, you're telling my kid that, oh, you can decide to be Jennifer if you want one day. You can come in on a skirt. You can wear makeup. Now, look, I ain't got nothing against this, but you ain't putting that onto my 6-year-old. And the fact that you're putting that into the curriculum was just like nonsense to me. I'm thinking, no, hell no. I'm not having any of it. I can't change it, but I can remove my child from that situation. And then I think the last one for us was just, what is the UK doing for me as a high rate taxpayer? Absolutely nothing. You're doing nothing for me. You're making it even more difficult for me. So I think those were my reasons for leaving, and the fact that we had a great opportunity out here. You know, my wife is a teacher. She got a great job. The kids are in great schools. So it was all about the children and all these added features of why I moved. Now, Rish, I want to ask you, why do you think so many people are coming to Dubai? And why do you think Jimbo went to Dubai, apart from what I told you?
Well, where can I start with this one? I mean, I've been traveling here for a while. I mean, first time I actually come to Dubai was in 2003. And I've told you, all they had in Dubai was they had Sheikh Zayed Road, They had the Emirates Towers. If anyone's in Dubai, they'll know what the Emirates Towers are. They had a few buildings scattered across Sheikh Zayed Road. There was no downtown. There was no creek. There was no marina. And they had the Burj and they had the Jumeirah Beach Hotel. And that was it. In fact, on their number plates, on every number plate in Dubai, there was a picture, an outline of the Burj Al Arab Hotel. This was in 2003, because that was all they had. Fast forwarding all these years, where do I start? Every reason that you've just outlined, can't be, can't be said any clearer, really. I mean, the safety, there's no crime. There is literally no crime. Mm. You leave your car unlocked. How many times have we jumped out the car? Everything's open. The doors, sometimes you just leave the door open.
Yeah.
Right, yeah? Money inside, everything. There is no crime, number one. The schools, number two.
You witnessed it for yourself the other day, right?
I don't know where to start with schools. I mean, you're talking about England. Okay, forget about the States. It's completely fucked. Right, yeah? Let's not even go there. But it's coming to England as well. What you just mentioned, right, yeah?
Yeah.
They will not allow any of that here. Mm. You will not see any teacher talking nonsense to children about any LGBTQ information. Not that we've got anything against it, but like you said, 6-year-olds should be talking about how to write A, B, C, D, and E and stuff, and learn what 6-year-olds need to learn.
Yeah.
How to spell Dubai, how to spell words, how to read poems.
Yeah.
Exactly. They don't need to know about what you mentioned. And these guys here, let me tell you, they know their curriculum, whether it's an American curriculum, whether you send your kids to a British curriculum school, there is none of that in these schools. And the safety structure in these schools, the barriers that they had to get in. There's someone that checks your car number plate when you enter the complex.
Yeah.
I mean, I came to do a school drop with you on, what was it, day before yesterday. And once you enter that and you park your car, there's another gate with additional security where even if there is an adult with a parent, so I was with you as a friend, they said, no, he's not allowed in. Okay, no problem. I'll wait outside. That's not an issue. But the amount of safety they have here, I mean, not that they even need the safety because there's actually no crime. Yeah. There's zero crime. London, forget about it. Kids could walk the streets in Dubai. Young kids could walk the streets at the middle of the night and there'd be no issues. Yeah. So in terms of that...
I think you were shocked when you got in the lift in my building and there was 3 little kids.
Yeah. And one of them was like 3 years old.
Yeah, 9, 10 o'clock.
And I was like, where's his mum and dad?
Yeah.
No. So touching on the safety and on the schools, 100%. But also, I mean, the opportunities that you've got here, one thing that I really opened my eyes is that I've just thought I could work from anywhere in the world. Yeah. Like you said, all I need is my laptop, office back home, etc., etc. So a lot of people have got that mindset and are thinking, well, maybe I should just move here and transition here. And if you look at the location of the city, it's so centralized. I think I read a stat that it's, a 7 or 8 hour flight from more than 80 or 90% of the world's population. Yeah. It's so centralized. And look, guys, it's reflected in the house prices and the property here is absolutely booming. I mean... You've been showing me a couple of bits that I might be interested in, but you can see the prices. I mean, in the UK, obviously you've got developments, but you want to see the developments they've got here in terms of whole communities, whole neighborhoods being built. Yeah, fully functional with security, with pools, with daycare for children, with school bus drop-offs. Every single thing covered what you would want from an accomplished society. And honestly, what I can say is the last time I was here in 2016, so it's been, a few years, but I've got to say, I mean, going back to London now, it literally feels like that this is the developed world. Yeah. And that literally feels like it's the developed world.
You know what, it's absolutely crazy. I think there's a lot of people in the UK that consider Dubai as an area that they might come and live in or they might buy a holiday home in. When you're looking at Dubai on a piece of paper sitting in London, it doesn't really give you a clear reflection of what the place is like. And I've experienced it firsthand when we've had interested parties from the UK fly in and spend a day with me. And that's when the penny drops for people. They're like, oh my God, I did not know that this is what a community is. People think, oh, a community is just a load of houses, people, a couple of shops. No, it's none of that nonsense. You drive into a community around here and they've got schools, pools, stuff for children to do, wave machines, lazy pools, all kinds of stuff going on, you know. Some of this stuff is so
24-hour security as well.
Absolutely. And, you know, these communities have been developed in such a way that they want people to have their best life, you know. And time again, I have people, especially on social media. My main source of people contacting me is social media. And they're saying to me, James, I need to get the hell out of the UK. And I hear the same things time and time again. I'm not happy with the way my children are being taught. I'm paying even more taxes year in, year out. If I buy another property, it's not profitable for me anymore because I'm paying so much more in taxes. How can I come to Dubai and be helped? What can you do for me? You know, for me, I always say to my clients, look, I'm not selling you a home, you know. I'm selling you a whole system on how you become more tax efficient in this country. So a number of my buyers that have bought out here have come out here initially just to buy something, you know, just to have a footing in Dubai, but have walked away a week later with a company that's been formed here, with a very good tax structure where they're now moving several, if not tens, hundreds of thousands of pounds from the UK into the UAE tax efficiently and using that money to fund their new home. So this is what I say to my clients. There's 15 or 16,000 registered brokers in Dubai right now, and every single one of them want to sell you a house. Now, let me be brutally honest. The reason why they're going to try and sell you something is because here in Dubai, if you're not selling, you're not earning. So if you're not selling, you're not eating. So if somebody's in a situation where they need to earn money, they're going to sell you what they want to sell you, probably something that's going to earn them the highest level of percentage. Whereas for me, it's totally different. I don't need to earn each month, you know. I have a good portfolio that feeds me, so that's fine. So for me, it's totally different. When I have clients reach out to me with families, it's not just about selling you a house. It's about making sure every single thing around that house has been structured properly. Where are your kids going to school? You know, what are you doing for transport? Have you got a maid in your house that's going to help you with your children? Have you got a driver that can take your kids to school? Where are you going to go and get your company formed? How are you going to get your Emirates ID done? Is your company structure going to be right? How are you going to invoice your UK company and move money across? How are you going to structure your sale? So I think with me, when someone works with me, when they buy a property out here, it's totally different. I'm not just selling you a home. I'm selling you the complete package.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good you touched on that because, I mean, I think it's probably want to explain to your people going forward a lot more that you're not just selling houses, you're not just selling property. It's tax efficiency, like you said. Mm-hmm. You absolutely deal with the formation of the GCC company from day one. If they want to create a Dubai company, you can help with that. You can help bring funds to Dubai. You know, you look after the whole portfolio of a customer after they've gone as well. If they're London based, for example, so it's a full kind of service that you offer. It's not just a kind of hit and run, like you take my commission and run kind of thing.
Yeah. It's never been like for me, I'll give you an example. I had a client buy a 5-bedroom Damac Lagoons property from me back in October. Now, this guy purchased this for like 2.66 million, yeah? And at the time, he was dead sure this is exactly what he wants to do. Okay, obviously had some shaky feet along the way, because it is a hell of a lot of money to put into a property or a new area. Now, if we look at the current market right now for the same development, he's at 3.3 million now. He's made 142,000 UK pounds in just a tad over 6 months. And now he's thanking me because he put his trust in me to help him find that. So for me, it's not just sell you something and pray that it works out for you. No, when you buy something from me off plan, or if you buy something from me, I've constantly got your inventory for sale. You know, I'm constantly reviewing the market to see when can I get this person out of the market? When can they make a shitload of profit and move into something else? So it's not a one-hit wonder.
I think another thing which is really, I didn't know this, but obviously we've had meetings here and you've explained to me that, for example, this is for a lot of people who are looking to sort of invest in Dubai, whether that's for a long-term investment purposes or flipping, whatever your strategy is. But over here, for example, if you do buy, for example, let's just say it's $1 million dirhams, just for argument's sake. You obviously have your deposit, and then you might have a deal structured in a way where you have to pay X, Y, Z at certain stages of the deal until it's obviously paid. But I think you should maybe, James, explain to people that you can exit at 40%, 30%, 50%. There's different stages where you can exit the whole deal on. So even at, say, 40%, that £1 million, that million dirham investment might be sitting at that time at 1.3, 1.4. You just don't know. So there is scope to just sort of come out at 40%, which in terms of short-term investment, I think is great.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what Rishi's just said there. Payment plans are structured in such a way that once you've paid 40% of it off, you can resell it. So you can flip it. So if you're reviewing the market, or actually when I'm reviewing the market for you, if I turn around and say to you, look, you made 500,000 dirhams profit at this stage, do you want to get out? Some people might want to get out. Some people are quite happy making a small profit and moving on to something else. But then there's clients that will hold on to the development until, say, 4 or 5 months before it's due to hand over. Now, by this time, this thing's matured nicely. I've seen people walk away with 1.2 million dirhams profit where they've only had maybe, half a million dirhams in across the whole deal. And then when you look at the return on the capital employed, it's huge. And you know what I love about Dubai? The great thing about Dubai is all of these stats that I'm telling you are available for everybody to go and see. None of this is bullshit hype that you can make up. In the UK, somebody's giving you figures based on what they know, the research they've done. Here, we have the Dubai Land Department. At the end of every single day, you can go and see how many sales have transacted. You can go and break it down to areas and see, okay, this many have transacted in this area. You can even see how many are mortgaged, how many are cash. So you don't have to take my word for it. You can go off and look at the data and think, damn, it's all there for you to see in black and white. And this is one thing I just couldn't get my head around when I came here, that how the hell does Dubai report this data so quick? And you know what? I tell you why, because these guys are innovators. These guys ain't sitting on the back seat like, right now, back in the UK, when you're buying a property, you still got to put wet signatures on papers with solicitors. What kind of nonsense is that? Here, things can be done through WhatsApp, through online apps. I'm completely shocked how a contract can be locked in a matter of hours from purchase, If you really wanted, you could transact on a house and be in that house in a number of days.
I've seen it all, honestly. The amount of, number one, you touched on how quick contracts and property can be sold here. Legals, forget about it. Solicitors in the UK are literally living in the 1850s compared to out here. But another thing, the amount of developments, you're spoilt for choice as an investor.
Yeah.
We've driven around and we've seen quite a few Damac Hills, Damac Lagoons, and especially some of the communities where a lot of people come to settle with families, so 3, 4, 5, 6 bedroom villas with gardens, with pools, etc., etc. So you're sport for choice and across all price points. But again, you touched on these guys being innovators, but I mentioned this to you before. Look, there's two things, right? Yeah. Number one, we all know that there's a bottomless pit of money. These guys has got more money than anyone else. Yeah. So they can throw a lot of money at it. They can hire the best engineering architects from throughout the world, from Europe, from wherever. But number two, you've got to understand that it's the implementation of ideas. It's not just ideas. Everyone in the UK thinks they've got good ideas. How long does it take to run a compulsory purchase order through in the UK? You could be sitting there for years.
Yeah.
If I want to be an arsehole as a seller, as a homeowner, I could be an arsehole. And that project is going to be on hold for literally years. Over here, the implementation of everything is so quick. You click your fingers and there's a 12-lane interchange built in 3 months.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Yeah.
The implementation of everything is so quick here, because there's no Houses of Parliament where the sheikhs have to go to and sort of put their ideas on the floor and then they vote that party votes, yays and nays, and then you got some plonker dressed up as a speaker, yay, nay, whatever. No. They're all locked in that vision that you said.
Yeah.
However many people are at the top on that top table, yeah, and they've said to themselves, we're giving ourselves 50 years. Mm-hmm. And in 50 years, we're gonna literally be the middle of the world.
Yeah.
They are geographically already. You look at everything from travel, transport, roads, infrastructure, what the government gives you here. I've seen it now. And do you know what? From the last time I was here in 2016, it's even changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Since 2016. So even if they do bring little things like taxes, small taxes here in the future, well, what is the government providing you? I think it's fair game.
Yeah.
The government's providing you with an oasis to live in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, I think the future is very, very bright.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, I agree with you. And one of the things I realized when I came here very early on was that the people love the royal family. You know, where you're back in the UK, you've got people saying, "Oh, you know what? Charles is like this. He's like this. I don't like him. I don't like the government. This. I'm not happy with the way this is running." You do not get that out here, and I feel the reason why that doesn't happen out here is because the royal family does so much for its people. The
100%.
people have always been number one. Even when there's been talks of income tax on people, no, the sheikhs having none of it. They'll find a different way. I read an article somewhere where at some point they wanted to, bring in taxes or something. And his idea was, no, sod that. We're going to build the biggest damn tower in the world. People are going to come and see it. We're going to generate money through tourism. And what happened? He built the biggest damn tower in the world. Loads of people are coming and they're earning money for it.
I think also what people need to understand is that don't think there's a misconception of, well, the government or the sheikhs only look after local Emiratis. That might have been the case in the 80s and 90s, maybe even in the early 2000s. But now, I mean, there's 100% company ownership for expats.
Yep.
There's 100% home ownership.
Yep.
Yeah. And something that I didn't even know, I didn't even think that would even be introduced is they're now offering, or they have offered, Emirati citizenship to certain individuals. These are obviously expats who've contributed to Dubai over a number of years, whichever field of business that they might be in. But did you ever think that foreign nationals, expats, would be given Emirati citizenship? I did not think that would be possible.
Yeah. No, you're right there. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And, coming back to what you're saying, it is all about the people here, and you just need to look around. Like, let's say, for example, something me and you were talking about the other day where they've been talking a lot about bringing bigger university hubs in here. Now, they already have some of the, best of the UK university campuses here, but they're talking about bringing more of them here because they don't want people to leave. The children can have such a fantastic education up to A level, and then they go off and go to university. Why do you need that? Why not keep them here in the universities that are here? And the other thing me and you were discussing as well the other day was about this place becoming a hub for medical treatment. Let's touch on the example about your little daughter being ill and how quickly she was dealt with.
Yeah, so obviously the little one had a temperature. Being parents naturally worried. So we went to the hospital, which looked like a 5-star hotel.
Yeah.
From the outside and inside.
Yeah.
Everyone was dressed exceptionally well. Right, yeah. Went in, explained the problem. I think within 15 minutes of us stepping into the door, medication had already been administered. Prescriptions had already been written. And we was in the pharmacy downstairs collecting our medicine.
Yeah.
And that was it. Probably we was back in the car in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So the moment we left the car to being out. Now, fair game, it cost me 600 dirhams, which is probably around, what, £150?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But let's just transport ourselves to the UK. So I've walked into A&E at Whipps Cross or the Royal London.
Well, first, just the thought of going into an A&E department.
Okay. Sorry. So how long does it take to get to hospital in the UK? Right. The traffic. You go into hospital, you're in the A&E. By the time we're sitting in A&E for an hour, you probably pick up another 17 diseases, right? Then you get seen by a local junior doctor, yeah? Or a foreign junior doctor, whoever that may be, right, yeah? Then you've got to wait for a prescription. Then you've got to get the medication from the pharmacy. The whole process can take 3, 4, 5 hours. I know the NHS is great. No digs towards the NHS. A free service can only have a certain amount in terms of service that they can offer. If it's free, I mean, it's literally you get what you pay for. But here, no, totally different. You go in, whatever your problems are. I mean, I paid because obviously I'm a visitor, but there are kind of there's medical insurance and everything which is available here for people, and I'm sure companies which employ expats provide certain types of medical insurance. And if you're self-employed, I'm sure that there's private medical obviously out here available, which I'm sure you could touch on. Yeah.
So look, I know everybody's always saying to me, James, Dubai's a bubble. At some point it's going to bust. And that's actually not correct. It may have been correct many, many moons ago, but with the recent UBS global study, Dubai was actually rated as a undervalued market, which means it's it's not even anywhere near where it can go to. You know, you look at places like the UK and they're saying that's very overrated. It's due to bust. You look at places like Singapore, same thing. This is a study done by professionals around the world. And when they're saying Dubai is no longer a bubble, it's no longer a bubble. People say to me, oh, James, it's just a sandpit. Yeah, okay, parts of it are a sandpit, but you got to remember, this development has only started not that many years ago, you know, and there's still so much to happen here. You know, you look at some of the developments they're going to do in the future now, what they're going to be offering people in terms of, you know, I was looking at a development where they're actually putting in some kind of mist control system, you know, where you can walk around this area and you don't feel hot, you know, and you think to yourself, what's going to happen next? Only last night we were discussing this, me and Rishi. I said, I honestly feel it's going to get to a point at some point where they will produce a community and they will give you a option of controlling your own seasons and your own temperatures. If they can make fake clouds anyway in the world and make it rain, how long before this country can actually control climates and you can have seasons that are controlled? I don't think it's long. You know, flying cars have already been authorized by 2025. That's 2 years away. You know, that is 2 years away.
Yeah. I mean, innovation, number one. Like you said, they've got the best people they've got the smartest heads from all around the world working together here. And if you're talking about that mist system, if anyone can do it, it's gonna be here, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, man. I tell you, look, we're looking at a tower by 𝗓𝗏 the other day, at Safa 1, I think it was, or Safa 2, and on the rooftop they've got a rainforest that has mist controlled, you know, temperature controlled system. I'm looking at this thinking, you know what? Anybody reading this anywhere else in the world would think, damn, these guys are gone nuts. And I often say it. What is the research department doing at 𝗓𝗏? Are they sitting in a pub in the evening, having a few beers and just coming out with adventurous things? But they've been known to be innovators. They do things before anybody else does. And now, in this country, nothing surprises me. If they say they're going to make flying boats that can go through clouds and in the water, I 100% believe it. Because if, like you said, if anybody can, Dubai can.
100%. And just touching on what you said about business and, you know, about people coming in as investors, moving companies here. You know, being from the UK, as you are, you know, you've been in business, you've had multiple companies, you've run businesses, you've had your own companies. How hard is it to run a company in the UK in terms of, is there any government help? The government generally make it hard for business owners. Mm-hmm. You know, you would have to agree that, look, with business, you know, you're up against it with employment, you're up against it with, taxation, you're up against it with the increase of corporation tax year on year, you're up against it with VAT returns, you know, you're up against it with everything, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The UAE government, literally, I would say across the globe, are one of the easiest people to deal with when trying to set up business in the UAE, mm-hmm. right? First of all, we talk about bringing funds in, bringing income in from the UK, from all over the world. There's not a problem. There's no questions asked. I mean, sending 10 grand from UK bank to a UK bank can sometimes take hours. It can be a problem, can't it?
Trying to withdraw £10,000 from a UK bank can be a problem.
The government don't care. As whatever money you want to bring here, there's no questions asked. They know that there's business, people are bringing money in here, and they want to see growth. And entrepreneurship is so backed here, it's unbelievable. So anyone young, you know, whatever field you're in, you know, all these countries that you guys have wanted to go to in the past, like the old kind of entrepreneur capitalist emperor, as you would say, the States, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, what a complete shithole. I mean, crime.
Yeah.
Look at their cities. You go to New York, yeah, you get in a New York taxi, you're bumping up and down. You've got to have osteos and, you know, on your back when you get home because the roads are so messed up. I mean, what about here? Look at the infrastructure. I mean, look at the crime in America. I mean, even in America, the taxation, depending on what state you're in. Over here, I think everyone come to Dubai.
I don't think I've seen a single pothole in the roads here.
And how do they keep the road so clean?
Exactly.
I mean, we're in a desert, and every road you travel on is like it's just been newly tarmacked yesterday and painted.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm being serious. How do they keep the roads clean here?
Yeah. I mean, everything, it just looks pristine all the time, no matter where you go. Obviously, like you said, there are patches of desert still here, but that's, you know, earmarked for development. You got to remember, it's still very early on. Now, look, to wrap this little segment up, what I say to anybody coming to Dubai, especially if you're in the UK right now and you're doing buy-to-let deals where you're earning 2 to 3%, yeah, if you're lucky. If you're doing HMOs, yeah, you're earning a little bit more because I still actively do HMOs. But if you're looking at deals in the UK right now that are not stacking up, why are you not looking further afield? Why are you not considering Dubai? The amount of investors we have here now that are earning, 7, 8, 9% a standard kind of long-term lets, or they're sticking stuff on holiday lets. Because let's face it, Dubai is the most lucrative for Airbnb, bookings.com, short-term lets where people are earning 12, 15%. So, with like Rishi was saying, there's an investment appetite for everybody. I've got clients that come here with 150,000 UK pounds and I can find them something that gives them 7%. And that's guaranteed 7%. Here in the UAE, things work a lot differently to the UK. You ain't going to have any tenant issues. There's tenant rights, but there isn't tenant rights like there are in the UK. Like, you know what? Hell, I'm quitting my job. I'm sitting at home. I'm on the dole. I'm not going to pay you this month. You do whatever the hell you like to do. It doesn't work like that here. When you rent a property out, you can ask somebody for all of your rent up front in one check. You can ask in several checks. And nobody in this country messes around like that. That's what I've found. Tenancies are treated very, very seriously and people just don't want to piss about. So why? I ask myself, why are people still putting down 150 grand for a buy-to-let in the UK to earn 3%? What are you hoping for? Capital appreciation? Okay, yeah, capital appreciation might be good, but why not just put your money in something where you're going to probably make more than that on your cash flow every month? And let's face it, how long is it going to take for a property now to appreciate in the UK when we're sitting at top end on everything?
Well, real capital appreciation is only in London.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about capital appreciation, I don't want to know about anything outside of the M25.
Yeah.
I don't even care if it's just slightly north, Watford, Nottingham, Birmingham. No. Forget about right up north. I'm being serious. Real capital appreciation is only in London.
Yeah.
So if London standard 3-bed, you're looking at minimum 500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Upwards, depending on the area, $1 million, $1.2 million. So yeah, if you've got paper just sitting there ready to invest, good for you. Go for it. But how many young investors have that? Capital appreciation is only in London, number one. Number two, if you look at the market here, you're talking about capital appreciation in London. That's still years and years and years. We're talking about deals, coming in on a deal, exiting at 40%. What's the time frame between start and 40%?
It could be less than a year.
Okay, 1 year. And what's the return on investment that you've done? I'm not even talking about hearsay. You've done deals. Give me an example of return on investment from exiting at 40% on a certain deal that you've done.
Well, I've just told you about that one earlier on today. Dave's not even sorry, I shouldn't say his name, but Dave anyway. Hi, Dave. But Dave's not even at 40% with his payments, and he's already up £143,000. Now, if he put that on the market tomorrow and put it up by, say, 130, even if he didn't want to go top end, he could flip that and walk away from the deal and we could get him into something new. Now, this is unheard of in the UK. It's just not happening. People are, and I see it day and day again, where people have taken a punt to buy stuff 24 months down the line, 23 months down the line, they've sold stuff and they've walked away with $1 million dirhams, $1.2 million. That's £220,000, £200,000. How long is it going to take you to make that in the UK? A hell of a long time.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, we've spoke to a lot of people out here, and you'd be surprised. $1 million dirhams, 2 million dirhams, 3 million dirhams, 4, 5, 6 million dirhams. That's just so common in conversations you have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like those numbers that you just talk about with absolute nonchalance is just so common here.
Yeah.
Like 10 million dirhams. We was at the Trump yesterday, the golf course.
Yeah.
And people were just talking 10, 12, 15 million dirhams, this, that, and the other. It's just so common. So you can see the kind of the numbers being generated by deals here in real estate. And I think certainly, I'm certainly very, very serious, that we've had a look at or whatever. So I think a lot of people should be looking now, especially if you want to diversify. You can't just be in one sort of field, right, of investments, whether that's private investors, whether that's real estate, whether it's stocks, shares, bonds, whether that's whatever. You've got to diversify. And even in property, you can diversify within property.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of options for people out here. So look, if anybody wants to find out more about that, you can reach out to me. Now, look, but again, while we wrap up that Dubai segment, something else I want to speak to people about is something that me and Rish believe in quite strongly, which is, daily disciplines, fitness, and, how these kind of strong fundamentals help you in business and surrounding yourself with the right people. What I mean surrounding yourself with the right people is, look at the circles that you're rolling in. You know, one thing I realized very early on here in Dubai is that there are ballers back home in the UK that think they're doing well. Oh, I got a Lambo. I got this. No, that's not real wealth. You come out here and you see wealth on a different side. You know, you see people wearing a, you know, $2 million milli on their arm. They're driving a Veyron, and these guys are cash rich. Yeah. So people in the UK that think they're big, you come out here, you're nothing. You're just like a normal dude who goes to work, you know? So, Rish, I want to ask you, what would you say is the importance, like kind of surrounding yourself with the right people, the right circles, the right conversations?
The most important thing in anyone's life. So next to who you're married to, you know, looking after your children, etc., that's that. I'd rather have no friends. I'd rather just be just me, rather than having 10 bums or 10 people. And when I say bums, I mean, these guys could be millionaires, but just bad influences.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather have no friends. Have that 1-2 people in your circle who you roll with. And also one thing, when you go out, I think, especially a lot of young people, have this in your kind of terms and conditions, if we kind of put it that way. If anyone rings you, let's go out. Make it productive. Right. Is there business incentives here?
Yeah.
What are we discussing? X, Y, Z. What deals are we discussing? Make that a part of your kind of terms and conditions to go out. For anyone who wants to call you out, they're taking your time away from your family. Mm-hmm. So I think personally, I mean, you know, we're talking from a lot of experience here.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have no friends than have all these people around you taking you away from what your goal is. And it's not motivation, whether that's gym, money, whatever. Motivation is nothing. It's fake. There's no motivation. No one's got motivation. How many times can you wake up in the morning at 3-4 in the morning like we do and go gym? No. We wake up most days and you don't want to go. It's discipline. Mm-hmm. That is it. That is the be all and end all of it, is discipline. I don't want to hear people saying I've got motivation or you need to be more motivated. No. Discipline.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you.
Discipline is the number one thing.
Yeah. You know, like Jimbo's 41 years old. You know, I know I don't look it, but still, I've been through some cycles with friends in my earlier days where I just thought, oh yeah, your friends are this, your friends are this, your friends are this. Now, then I heard a statement in my late 20s where people said, you know, if you're the cleverest person in your circle, you need to get yourself a new circle. Or if you're the one in your circle who is doing big things and everybody else is still stuck where they were, you need to walk away from that circle and find a new circle. And I used to think, no, they're still my mates, they're still my boys, they're still this and that and that. And you know what? You realize as you get older, if you can count your friends on your one hand and you don't get to your third or fourth finger, that means you're doing pretty well, you know?
And another thing I would say is use this formula, right? So transport yourself into a room with 10 millionaires, multi-millionaires across all forms of business, right? Yeah. Look at your own life and what you're doing. What service can you offer these 10 people?
Yeah.
What service? I know me and you, for different reasons, could be in that room and I could offer each 10 of those people a different service.
Yeah.
What service can you offer? You're teleported into a room with 10 multi-millionaires across different businesses, across different lines of work.
Yeah.
Now, what are you going to talk about, number one? What service are you going to offer them? Within 2 minutes of talking to them, within 2 minutes, right, yeah, you should be asking what you do, this, that, and the other, how you can help them potentially grow this, that, and the other, or whatever service can you provide them to bring them something.
Yeah. I read a quote somewhere where it said, once you help people, you'll help yourself. And, you know, that stuck with me for a long time. And, you know, generally, I guess what that means is that solve people's problems, you know, do things for other people and then you'll help yourself. And, you know, people get so fixated by, I want to be a millionaire. I want to earn this amount of money. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do that. But what are you actually doing to get there? What problems are you solving? What are you offering other people? You know, take a look at yourself first before you go ahead and set these big goals.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, I it depends what sort of line of business you're in, but financial services, I like closing. I mean, obviously, look, you know,
me too.
There's a lot of money to be made, and we all make money. But I mean, and I know it's about the money, but I get the thrill out of just the close.
Yeah,
just closing someone for me, you know, regardless of the money's there. That's all part and parcel of the game. But that is the thrill. Yeah. When I close someone, I don't automatically then wait a minute. Let's calculate the commission we've made right now. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
We all know the commissions are going to be there. The procuration fees are going to be there.
I generally find when you start working out the commissions before the deal's done, you lose the deal because you're celebrating something that's not actually happened. And you're
Don't get me wrong, they're in the back of your mind.
Yeah,
I mean,
of
you
course.
generally roughly work out,
Oh, that'll be a new watch. That'll be this will be that. But yeah, I think it's all about providing a service to people. And again, like you said, the close is massive. And that's for me as well. I love the close no matter what the value is. Now, I've been in sales my whole life, whether I'm in property or when I had my business, I was always closing. And even in property, I realized it's not the monetary thing that goes with property. For me, it was about creating the product. Once the product was created and it was rented and it was earning money, I was bored. It was time to move on to the next one. And my passion for property came from creating very nice homes for people. And again, here, now what I'm doing in Dubai, I'm loving it when somebody says to me, James, you found me the best investment I could get. Or I had a colleague last week, not a colleague, a friend who's my sister's friend. And, she said, James, thank you for finding our dream home. Thank you for being so patient with us. We weren't the easiest to deal with. And my response to that was, actually, you were quite easy to deal with because you knew exactly what you wanted. I said, you were very, very clear on what you wanted. And I think coming back to sales is one of those things. Sales is, I believe, in this world, the most lucrative thing you can do.
What's that stat you said to me today where in your company, they worked out the average commissions received from all the brokers, and you said that they were more than the annual salary of a neurosurgeon?
That's correct. Yeah, when they worked out how much the team had earned combined and then they took it on averages, it was something like every broker was earning more than a neurosurgeon. And then if you look at
that's amazing. Amazing.
How much time a neurosurgeon's put into education, developing his craft, and how much he spent, and to think that somebody in sales is earning more than you. And I think sales has got this really bad press. Like, I was away on holiday in Mumbai, and when I told people I'm a commission-only salesperson and that if I don't sell, I don't eat, everybody's pretty shocked. I'm like, well, do you know what? I would have it no other way. Because if I had a set wage each month, I wouldn't be performing at 100%. I would be walking in and providing, probably giving 50%, 40%, having really off days. But that doesn't happen in sales, because you need to get out and have the discipline to perform every single day, get your ass into gear and make those sales, make those calls, make the action happen.
100%. You mentioned commission, you mentioned sales. Now, if I had... children who are of working age, I would definitely recommend them to go into, I'm not saying forever because they might want to transition to something else, but definitely spend some sort of time in a commission-only based environment. It's so good for personal development. Yeah, you're not only competing for business with random people, you're competing with your colleagues. So that environment you're in every day in the office is going to be so tense. It's going to be so competition orientated. It's just going to make you into an animal.
Yeah.
And you know what? We've seen this. It's not just like you see guys, doing this. How many women are top wolves when it comes to selling? Even in your company, you've said to me.
I have seen it firsthand in our company. Some of the best closers are the women. And, people think that in this country that they just, they look provocative, whatever that bloody word is, I can't pronounce it. They look all good. They're wearing this type of clothing and that men alert to that. Absolutely not. Some of these women are the most intelligent brokers I've ever met. They know the market so well. They know how to close. They know what products to offer. You're right when you say that. They're on the top 10 in the board. So you just can't say that.
What's just moving quickly onto something different. What's the insurance industry like in Dubai?
As in...
like generally insurance, but I'm mainly like life insurance and stuff like that.
So I think when you've... I know about wheels and bits and bobs like that. I'm not too... If I'm honest, I'm not too clued up on the life insurance side of things at the moment, but I'm sure it must exist. Yeah. You got to remember, I'm still a bit of a newbie here, but listen, I think we were hoping to do a bit of a longer podcast, but we're restricted on time today. So we're going to wrap it up there. But look, a couple of things. I think if anybody's in the UK and you're getting started in property and you're looking for somebody to advise you on deals or mortgages or anything like that, I think you really do need to reach out to Rishi. He's someone who would, ask you to come in and sit with him, meet with him. He can advise you on products. He can even advise you on what you should potentially be doing with a deal. And I think back in the days when I started, this kind of information wasn't available. You couldn't just easily connect with people. So I'm a strong believer in connecting, recommending. So I think if you're in the UK right now, it would be a great option for you not only to reach out to him for mortgages. I think something people forget in their life is that, look, we're earning all this shitload of money, we got all these assets, but what the hell are you doing to protect your life? If tomorrow you were to drop dead, can your wife and your children live on comfortably? Is there anything giving them any kind of cover to protect them? People are always talking about, oh, you know what, I'm going to do this next deal, I'm going to this crypto, this Bitcoin, this guy. Tomorrow, if you drop dead, your wife's going to be stressed, your kids are going to be stressed, they're going to be upset. Have you done anything, or have you put anything in place that's going to make things easy for them? I think there's a lot of people that disregard life insurance. Now, if you're young, get yourself into a life insurance policy while it's cheap. As you get older and older, the same thing becomes more expensive. So not only is it mortgages and financial products and bridging loans and all that stuff, there's all the life insurance cover as well.
Yeah, 100%. You've hit the nail on the head there, James. Look, people insure everything. I mean, people insure their dogs, people insure their cats, people insure their cars, but how many people insure their lives? It's the most underinsured aspect of British society.
Yeah.
And I deal with clients on a daily basis, obviously, and we advise clients on a daily basis regarding what particular product or what particular type of insurance they need. So the way we work is we're completely full on advisory. So we don't take any execution only business. So you can't just come to us and say, we want this. We still have to know you. We do our due diligence. We look at your whole life, all your investments, all your property, whatever, what sort of income you've got. So it might not be that you need just straight up life insurance.
Sure.
You could be a young couple, literally just started with a 2-month-old, 3-month-old, 1-year-old, 2-year-old. And at that stage of your life, the most important thing might be income protection.
Yeah.
What would happen to, obviously, if you've got 2 young kids, your wife is obviously a stay-at-home mother, you're working. What would happen if you had an injury and you couldn't go to work?
Yeah.
You'd need income protection. In some cases, depending on stage of life, you might require critical illness cover that pays if you have a heart attack, a stroke, if you're diagnosed with a form of cancer.
Sure.
And obviously, anyone that purchases a property should, regardless of anything, should have mortgage protection.
Yeah.
Standard mortgage protection. It's not expensive. It's a fixed amount every month. Depending on age, obviously, it will go. But if you're young, it's going to be so cheap. And basically, the way mortgage protection works is if at any stage something was to happen to you across the mortgage term, that mortgage would be paid off.
Yeah.
So the surviving spouse would receive whatever the mortgage balance is. There's loads of different policies. But like I said, we'll put a link, obviously. Yeah. I'm more than happy to talk to anyone, have a call, have a Zoom meeting, or you can come to my office in Hammersmith, based in the City of London. Yeah, we can have a spot of lunch, talk, look at your circumstances, and definitely, we can definitely go ahead and helping people in that.
And obviously, like when your life's covered, just make sure you're nice to your, significant other, because you may be knocked off. But look, we're going to wrap it up there, guys. As with every single show, the show grows when you guys share it. It's going to be on YouTube, Spotify, on all of the major platforms. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, the best place to get me is on Instagram. The link will be below in the show notes. Happy to have a conversation with anybody who's considering coming out to Dubai to live. The only thing I ask in return is that you respect my time. If I'm spending time giving you information, just have the decency to respond and don't go ghost on me. That's one thing I I do not like. So happy to share my time with people as long as you're there to kind of just say, okay, this is for me or this is not for me. But all the information will be there. So look, guys, listen, thank you so much for joining us on the first episode of the J2 Hub podcast. I'm glad it's back. It's back in DXB, and we are going to be looking to interview some top exciting guests. And no doubt when Rishi's back in December, we'll do another episode and cover some more exciting stuff that's been going on. But yeah, thank you again.
Where are we off to, Jimbo?
Right now, we're off to Arabian Ranches, to 𝗟𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗵 for a couple of cold beers before Rishi leaves to go back to the UK and back to reality.
And a couple of cigars.
Yeah, that's it. There's always got to be a
couple
cigar.
of nice Cuban cigars. That's all I need.
Yeah. But thank you once again, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.